Hello again. We are back with the Bottom Line Me podcast. I'm with Ann Allard, and today we're going to talk about goal setting. And there has been a lot written on goal setting, especially when you're talking about the end of the year, beginning of the year. I just think there's so many books and blogs and podcasts. Where do you begin? What is the right direction to take or a system to put into place? And Ann and I, on a previous podcast, we talked about Googling and Googling business plans. And in this case, I Googled goal setting, and there was 1.23 billion results in 0.51 seconds, which, that's a lot of results. And where do you even begin? You need to ask yourself, where do I begin? But also, why do I need to set goals? How important is it? But I do think that if you have no goals, obviously you don't know what direction you're going in. So, Anne, what would you say is the importance of setting goals?
Well, I think that goal setting is really a deeply meaningful exercise to go through for all of the reasons that you just shared. But in addition, I think setting goals can motivate us. It can give us a sense of purpose, helps us to feel accomplished or build our confidence. I think in the end, without goals, we lack focus and any direction in both our life and in our career. So, But most of us struggle with goals. I think it's, we think, it sounds like an easy thing to do, but if you ask me yesterday, what's my goal this year? I might struggle some days with what the goal is because from day to day, it can change. From year to year, it definitely can change. But so we do struggle with it. And I think sometimes the struggle is because we set goals that are just not realistic or not attainable, or that we really lack the motivation to follow through with what the goal is.
Right.
Another thing, and this has happened to me, is that at the time I set the goal, it sounded like a great idea, but in the end, I didn't really value it as much as I thought I did. I kind of get caught up in the moment sometimes. I didn't really connect that goal to a why. And I think that's a really important step in setting goals. Why do I want to do this? Or why do I want to accomplish this? One of the other reasons I think we sometimes struggle or fail is that we don't write the goal down and we don't share it with others. I think, making a goal public is a game changer. It changes everything. Now, without even realizing it, you're accountable to somebody, whether it's I share a goal with you and now I'm accountable to you, or I post it on a social media page, or I send it in an email to someone. Now there is some evidence that I have committed to something, and there's some motivation there for me to follow through because now I don't want myself and others down. So,
well, one of the things I was thinking about in thinking about goal setting is that it gives us an opportunity. It opens us up for an opportunity to grow. And some people, they just don't really want to move forward. So if you don't want to change, if you're not open to change, then you don't need goals. But I think, you need goals if you do want to change a habit or you want to reach a goal. And one of the ways that we've talked about in the mentorship program is SMART goals. That's another one concept in setting goals, setting specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and timely or time-based. And I think that, having a guidepost or guidebook for setting goals is important.
I agree. And I think, again, if you go out and Google, goal setting, you'll come up with a bunch of different methodologies or formulas. We've always kind of, gravitated back to using the SMART goal method because it does check all the boxes. And it's, although I don't think setting goals is easy for anyone, and breaking it down into all those bite-sized pieces, but it is, it's definitely a framework that can help you get started. Instead
Yeah.
of thinking, I want to make more money, now if I'm going to set a specific goal, I've got to add something to that. I have to say,
Right.
I want to make X number of dollars by X number of days, weeks, years, months, whatever it is. So
Right.
it can change, and it will cause us to move to action in a different way rather than just saying, I wish I made more money.
Yeah. And I think that's very important what you said about it leads you to action, because I think so many people, if you don't have a goal, you don't even know where the starting line is. You don't even know
Right.
where to start, how to get off start. And I think, I think a couple of times we talked about moving away from SMART goals. Let's take a different, tactic or a different strategy. And I just, like you said, I think we keep going back to the concept or the strategy of SMART goals, because it is something that really leads you to defining them and getting them being specific and something that you can really, they're realistic and you can meet those goals.
I couldn't agree more. I mean, an example in the mentorship program is I've had many people, when they've completed a goal worksheet, say, what's your goal? I want more customers. Well, okay, what does that actually mean? What does that break down to? So, as in working with people, if you get somebody to say, I want to increase my customer base by capturing X number of new customers each month, and then you can move from that to, so I need to schedule X number of meetings, identify X number of leads or prospects. And again, now you can build on that. It's not just that I want more customers, is I want 2 new customers this month. I need to see 5 people in order to capture 2 new customers. I need to find myself an accountability partner and meet with them once a week. You can even get more detailed and say, every Tuesday at 2:15, I'm going to call Brenda and give her a status on where I am with with that goal. So the more specific you can get around that, the more likely it is that you're going to succeed in the end.
Well, and the key too is that it's hard for people when they set a goal and it's A to Z. And it's another thing to say, I'm going to go from A to C and meet that criteria. And then I'm going to go from C to F or whatever to make it to Z. And I think a lot of people try and bite off the big picture and not take it in small pieces and do it in a timely manner. Have each one of those smaller goals have a time frame to it as well, so that you see that you're achieving something, you have success.
I think that's why step 2, which or the next step in it, which is measurable, is such an important piece as well. Because if you just say, I want new customers, how do you measure that?
Right.
Okay. Well, yeah, I can say, well, I got a few new customers. But if your decision is, or your goal is that I want 2 new customers this month, now you have a way to track and measure that. I know it's already the 15th of the month and I haven't captured that new customer yet. So now I only have 15 days to finish that up and find those 2 new customers. Or perhaps what I need to do is adjust the time frame or adjust the number. I may need to start a little smaller and work my way up. But there is magic in my opinion, I love graphs and charts. And regardless of what visual way you want to do it, I think measuring it and keeping track of it is motivating. It keeps us going. It gives us a quick visual of where we are and what we need to do next. So measuring goals that's one of the reasons I think we keep going back to that particular model or methodology, is because measuring is such an important piece, So.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. Well, thinking about examples, I was thinking about somebody in particular in the mentorship program, and she'd been in our industry for 30 plus years. And she she came out with a goal, a measurable goal, like you're talking about, and it had a time basis. But she was starting to think about what she needed to do to reach it. And
Mhm.
she had never in her career done the asking for an order. And she thought, I'm going to take this one step and get out of my comfort zone. And I need this one person who is a target customer of mine, to become a loyal customer of mine. And she says, I'm going to do it by asking for the order. And so she put that one piece in place, and it thrilled her so much when it worked the first time. And then she kept going back, and it was just remarkable to watch her have a goal that she like bit off in bite-sized pieces and was able to take one step, and that propelled her to take the next step. And it was great to see her do something that she hadn't done in all the years she'd been in the business and get out of her comfort zone. But it's because she set a goal. She
There
knew it
you
was a
go.
weakness of hers.
Yeah.
She set a goal, and she met that goal.
Yeah.
Do you have another example of someone that have set goals and met them?
Well, I don't know. I think one of the things that I just wanted to point out in that regard is that oftentimes what we do is we set impossible goals, and then we fall into that trap.
Yes.
And there's no way that we're going to reach the goal, so we just give up. I think a goal should be challenging, but the A in the acronym stands for, is it achievable or attainable?
Right.
And so if it's outside the realm of possibilities, then it's probably not the right goal. I think a good example I can use, and I had this conversation with someone just about a week ago that was talking about setting goals around how much money they wanted to make this year, and and they were having real trouble figuring out what that number was, and so we started talking, and I said, for most of us, making $1 million every month is probably unlikely. It's just not attainable. So a better goal would be to figure out or to decide, this year I want to increase my commissions by $1,000 a month. Well, that's far more realistic, and it's very trackable. And you can start even with, okay, I'm starting with 500, and then I'm moving from 5 to 1,000. And once you reach that $1,000 a month, now you might be in a position to say, now I can up it, and now I can move to 15. That's my new goal. And now you figured out a way to, by the end of the year, let's say, if that's what you do 1 year or one period of time, it doesn't matter when you do it. Now you can add up all those numbers that you tracked and decide, next year I want to increase my commissions by 10% from last year. Now you know what that number is, because you've identified it, you've tracked it, and you've hopefully attained that goal. So,
Right. Well,
I had another friend one time decide that she was going to, I love this story. She was going to take piano lessons. All right. Now, this is way outside what we normally would talk about, but I think, there is a lesson in it. And I thought, well, that's great. You don't have a piano, and you have a really busy life, but hey, I think it's great. Why do you want to learn how to play the piano? Oh, I just like the way it sounds. I love listening to piano music, and so on and so forth. So this kind of takes me back to the why that I was talking about before. She had no intentions of ever, learning how to, or getting in front of an audience and playing the piano. She didn't own a piano, and she had no desire to buy one. So how was she going to even practice playing the piano? So in the end, the goal was, not only was it not attainable, it wasn't realistic, because there was no why.
Right.
A better goal would have been, if she really wanted to learn how to play the piano, to say something like, I'm going to learn how to play the piano so that when I come home at night and I'm stressed out, I have a way to relieve my stress. Now she would have had a real reason to figure out, do I need to buy a piano? Do I need to rent a piano?
Right.
Do I really have the time to play the piano? So
Hmm.
she and I have talked about this many times, and I share this story with you because she concluded that she never really knew why she wanted to play the piano. She was just attracted to it.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So,
Interesting.
fun
Yeah.
story.
Yes. Well, I think you've covered a lot of the tips for setting goals, practical advice, and that would be don't set too many goals.
Yeah.
Don't set goals that are too large. Break them down, put them down on paper, share them with someone. Don't keep them a secret,
Right.
and then review them.
Yeah.
Make sure that you review them. And if you're meeting a goal, great. What's the next goal from that? Also, from that reviewing, you can take some off that maybe aren't realistic, aren't ones that are really important to you. You don't have that why.
Yeah. Yeah.
So would you say there's any other tips that you can think of?
Well, I think, just covering the last letter of the acronym, the time-based portion of it, is that, if we don't set a due date for something, basically we have, unlimited time to achieve whatever it is that we've decided we want to achieve. Like my friend, I want to learn how to play the piano, but she really didn't know when. It wasn't, I got to do this by a certain date. I think, as a way to, to apply it to our world is, think of a time when you have a report or a presentation to put together. If nobody gives you a deadline, guess what happens? It
gets put on the back burner.
It gets pushed aside. Someday I'll do it. Someday I'll get to it. But
right.
If someone says to me, I need, an outline for a presentation by next Tuesday at 4:00, probably Monday night I'm going to be doing it. But because I had that deadline, I accomplished it. And I think the same thing can be applied when you're setting goals. If you don't attach a time frame to it, undoubtedly it will probably fall by the wayside. It doesn't mean you don't have the desire, but it wasn't as important as you thought it was, or you would have put a deadline on it.
Right. Yep. That is all very, very good information. Well, I appreciate your time today, and thank you for joining us for this podcast, and we hope that we have helped you learn, grow, and prosper.
Thanks, Brenda. Great to be with you.